So Introduction for Rhetorical Analysis Essays Part 2 is a little bit more complicated. So anytime that you are not writing a timed essay, it is smart to think about fleshing out a longer introductory piece. In this way, you're able to spread out your information about the rhetorical situation and kind of present more of an introduction, as opposed to just kind of thinking about getting your thoughts down as fast as you can. I think that sometimes we all, and myself included, get stuck in this 5-paragraph format that we've been so used to for forever. But when you really think about all the pieces that we've read this year, how many of them followed a 5-paragraph format? The answer is 0. So when we do write academically, it's not always just a 5-paragraph essay. We need to be able to open our minds to longer pieces, to shorter paragraphs, things like that that help us get our message across. For this particular piece, Blessings of Liberty and Education, there are so many different things to talk about that a longer introduction might be important. And additionally, it might be more important for us to write sort of an open thesis statement to allow ourselves to explore more of the rhetorical strategies throughout the essay than just the 2 or 3 devices that we would talk about in a 1-sentence thesis statement / introduction paragraph. So we're going to learn about that type of essay too. So when we're doing an introduction paragraph for what I call a processed rhetorical analysis essay, which just essentially means that it's not timed and you have time to work on it, right? It's an essay that is happening over time. We're going to look at that in 3 steps. In step number 1, we're going to look at that as a way to really explore the context of the situation. So we're going to provide 2 or 3 sentences that summarize the socio-historical context of the time period in which the piece was produced. This could mean that you need to do a little bit of research if you really need something, if you want to know more about the social constraints of the time, or you're interested in some sort of historical aspect, like maybe you didn't know that Frederick Douglass was self-educated, and so you just want to read a little bit more about him, and you find that information and you put that in there. That's okay. This is not a timed essay, so this would be something that you would be able to look for additional information on. After step 1, we're going to navigate to step 2, and this is where we're going to describe the exigence. So we're coming from, here's the context of what's happening in society at this time. Here now is the exigence. Here is why this particular piece was written or is being delivered. And then step 3, we're going to add our thesis statement. Now, when you do this, I do not want to see your thesis statement from up above just tacked onto the end of the paragraph. It will not work. You need to provide some transitional language that is going to help the flow of your piece. And additionally, like I said, you are going to want to write an open thesis statement. And really, what that means is that you're taking out the rhetorical strategies and giving yourself room to explore as many rhetorical strategies as you want in the actual body of the piece. So let's look at this example. This is an example for the George Bush 9/11 piece. So remember, we're starting with the context, we're going to the exigence, and then we're going to that thesis. The late 1990s and early 2000s were some of the most peaceful times in U.S. history. The economy was strong, the budget was almost balanced, and America was indeed recognized as the world's greatest nation. The country wasn't perfect, however, because there were deep-seated political divides within the population, as exemplified by an incredibly contentious election in 2000, where the candidate who won didn't even receive the majority of the popular vote. Amidst this most docile time in history, one Tuesday morning, unsuspecting individuals boarded 4 planes that would never make safe landings. In fact, 2 of the 4 would never touch the ground again in one piece. Mid-flight, each of these 4 planes were hijacked by Islamic radicals seeking to destroy not only iconic landmarks close to the heart of the U.S., or just the lives of individuals and families, but also the American spirit. September 11th was the first time since Pearl Harbor that war was brought to the shores of America, and it was a dark day for all who remember it. America, shocked and distraught, needed to find hope and comfort in this dark time, and they did so in looking to their leader, President George W. Bush. On the evening of this attack, George W. Bush delivered what is now famously known as his post-9/11 speech, an address that recounts the state of the nation after deadly terrorist attacks, where he reminded the country that although all were experiencing tragic grief, the country was and would remain strong, ultimately moving the divided American public to unite and prepare for retaliatory action. So as you look at this, I want you to notice a couple things here, and I hope you kind of saw how this is kind of a funnel down to my ideas, where I'm starting with the general, as in the context, and I'm going down to my point. I hope you can tell that here I'm alluding to this audience that I'm going to be describing later. I want you to notice that there are no rhetorical strategies listed here, but my to inform and my to persuade are still here, right? I'm giving his message here, and now throughout my essay I'm going to talk about the variety of rhetorical strategies that are used. This is maybe longer, is definitely longer than yours probably will be for Frederick Douglass's speech. This I think is very easy to write about for me personally because of living through this experience, but also it's very easy to kind of create emotion around this event. But there's a couple other things that I want you to notice in here, which are what did the audience need, right? What does the audience need here? And of course, this is funneling down to who our speaker in this piece is ultimately going to be. So I said, okay, you know you were expecting this. It's your turn. So I want you to assume that you are writing an extended rhetorical analysis here. So you are not going to be timed on this. You are not writing a one-sentence thesis/introduction. You are writing a processed rhetorical analysis paper. So with that in mind, I want you to create an open thesis statement. Then I want you also to follow the 3 steps above. I want to hear about the context, moving to the exigence of why this is taking place, moving to your thesis statement, okay? I want you to go here for that. Okay, good luck.